if they understand how much it means for people who are on that wall of shame and how they consider it a wall of honor. It is a badge of honor anytime I get attacked by the White House. I love knowing that despite the fact...
I really do. I hate them. I cannot stand them. With all of the things we did with the tax cuts and rebuilding our military, not one Democrat voted for us. And I think we use it in the campaign that's coming up, the midterms.
If you thought things could not possibly get worse, wait until the visuals seem to defy gravity and the entire internet collectively loses its mind. One moment, it feels like politics as usual, and the next moment, a rebellious Whig appears to make a run for freedom, while two sharp Tanj truth snipers circle. The scene with a level of precision that feels almost surgical. Desi Lydic and Anna Navarro are not chasing the story. They are breaking it open, peeling back each layer, and leaving behind nothing but sharp punchlines and uncomfortable truths.
But this is such a stark difference from how every other leader on this trip has interacted with Trump. Malaysia's throwing a concert for him. Korea's giving him crowns. Everyone's kissing his ass. Then she comes in like his mom forced him to have a play date with a weird kid at school.
They say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person.
Buckle up, because this is a kind of chaos you cannot unsee. If you are enjoying this, please subscribe to the channel because it helps more than you realize. The entire situation begins like one of those moments that feels scripted by a bored universe desperate to add excitement to the news cycle. A week already tipping at the edge of absurdity suddenly flips completely over.
Left his troubles behind yesterday as he embarked on a 3-day state visit to the UK, his happy place where the king is in charge and vegetables are illegal. Of course, our relationship with Britain is not great right now. We're fighting over tariffs and Gaza and Ukraine, so there were a lot of issues to discuss on this visit.
Out comes a familiar bluster, the recycled outrage, the predictable chest beating. And then, as if on cue, the curtain slips just enough for everyone to glimpse the machinery hiding behind it.
Irrelevant. We are so relevant that we are on that wall of shame, because Whoopi was on it too.
Whoopi was on it for singing a song about the ballroom.
Yes. Remember when she broke into that song, You Don't Own This?
Yeah,
it was about the White House. And it's funny. So I mentioned, so Whoopi had no idea about this wall of shame.
That is when the two most unlikely truth surgeons step into the operating room with their gloves off and their sarcasm sharpened to perfection. Desi Lydic never eases her way into a story. She charges straight into it with a smirk that suggests she has already read the ending and found it absolutely ridiculous.
The bigger question was what happened at that meeting. Trump said that China has been eating America's lunch for decades, and this was his chance to seal a major trade deal that finally makes things right.
President Trump back on Air Force One after his meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping, where the leaders agreed to a tentative...
Every movement, every raised eyebrow shows that what they're examining is no longer just politics. It is performance art with inflated self-importance. It is a kind of performance where confidence is loud, evidence is optional, and reality is treated like an unruly heckler that must be dragged off stage. Then Anna Navarro joins in with the patient frustration of someone who has watched this movie far too many times to be surprised, but not enough times to become numb. She avoids theatrics and instead calmly dismantles a myth held together by tape volume and an unhealthy number of caps lock keys.
This is not just about undocumented immigrants. When you are taking away temporary protective status, when you are putting legal permanent residents in detention and deporting them, when you are threatening U.S. citizens that you don't like, that you're going to take away their citizenship, naturalized ones, when you are talking about birthright citizenship and take...
Anna, meanwhile, carefully moves the chess pieces around. She does not rush. She lets the gaps in logic breathe. She allows the contradictions to sit out in the open long enough for everyone to realize they are not accidents. They are the blueprint. Bit by bit, the illusion of strategic brilliance starts to resemble improvisation gone wrong. What makes the exposure so satisfying is not just the information, it is the timing. Right when the theatrics reach their peak, the two of them quietly unplug the fog machine. The smoke clears. The dramatic lighting dies down. What remains on the stage looks uncomfortably human, startled, and far smaller than advertised.
I was more excited about another aspect of the trip.
Well, my relationship is very good with the UK, and Charles, as you know, who's now king, is my friend.
Yes, Trump is like a brother to King Charles in that his actual brother is also in the...
It becomes difficult to sell the image of an unstoppable force when that force keeps stumbling over its own press releases. Desi revels in the irony of it all. The self-declared titan of dominance reduced to reacting instead of leading. The supposed puppet master caught tugging on strings that are no longer attached to anything. Each joke she delivers lands like a small pin puncturing a balloon that once tried to appear indestructible. Anna shifts the tone slightly to remind everyone that behind the comedy sits real consequences, real people, real systems, and real damage that does not disappear just because the joke is strong. Her calm explanations turn the satire into something sharper that lingers long after the laughter settles. The harshest part of the exposure is how unglamorous it truly is. There is no epic takedown and no dramatic confession. Just a slow reveal that the myth has been sputtering for a long time.
Heard us talking about it, and her reaction was like, and I'm not on it? Oh, I want to be on it. I want to be on the wall of shame. Please, put it on my obituary.
Don't
Anna
encourage.
Navarro was on Trump's White House wall of shame.
Oh, I have a quick correction. It's the Hall of Shame.
Oh, it's the hall?
Yeah, it's the Hall.
Well,
the engine has been rattling, the warning lights flashing, and everyone was too distracted by the painted fireworks on the hood to notice the smoke. Desesi highlights how the bravado now sounds more like compensation than confidence. Every exaggerated declaration seems less like strength and more like someone shouting into the dark to convince themselves they are not alone. The volume keeps rising while the substance keeps shrinking. Anna connects these observations back to the actual record. The real damage to the image comes from how predictable the reactions have become. The reflexive denial, the immediate shift into grievance, the sudden portrayal of victimhood from the same voice that just claimed absolute dominance. It has become such a repeated sequence that it practically has stage directions. And Desi does not miss a single opportunity to poke fun at its mechanical precision.
January? As in earlier this year, January? You went all the way to Asia for that? Okay, I think we can agree that meeting was a waste of time.
On the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12.
Anna brings in the uncomfortable historical context that keeps surfacing no matter how much people try to push it away. The large collection of statements that cannot exist in the same reality. The constant rewriting of yesterday to rescue today. The truth sits there stubbornly like an unsentimental referee, keeping track of the score, whether or not anyone respects the rules. What begins to take shape is not the portrait of a master strategist, but of someone increasingly trapped inside their own mythology. The legend demands constant feeding, bigger promises, louder enemies, more dramatic claims. Yet, the legend also leaves no room to step back, no space for nuance, no exit that does not resemble surrender. It becomes a costume that tightens with every performance.
He used to describe Tim Walz is a word that I refuse to use my entire life because I'm actually, as you all know, I have a brother who is severely intellectual disabled. That's Daniel, my big brother. He's 61 years old now. That's me when I was a little girl.
The real exposure is not about one statement or one moment. It is about the combined weight of all of them. It is the exhaustion of trying to match what is promised with what is actually delivered. It is a growing frustration of a public that has been riding this rhetorical roller coaster for years without ever finding a destination. Anna, with almost clinical patience, shows how the supposed chaos agent has become stuck inside a loop of predictable reactions. Outrage leads to more outrage. Accusations lead to counter-accusations. A style driven more by noise and direction, more by conflict and construction. They never announce this shift directly. They simply allow the audience to realize it on their own. The way you suddenly notice you have been watching the same episode again and again.
And because Trump is so tight with the king, he made sure to let us know that he's getting the VIP treatment.
And it's the first time this has ever happened where somebody was honored twice, so it's a great honor. And this one's at Windsor. They've never used Windsor Castle for this before. They use Buckingham Palace. And I don't want to say one's better than the other, but they say Windsor Castle.
Desi plays with the idea that the brand that once claimed to be anti-establishment now seems focused solely on defending its place inside the same establishment it pretends to challenge. The rebel who built the fortress now stands guard at the gate. The contradiction is so bold that it practically begs to be roasted. Anna supports that observation with a steady explanation, showing how the posture changed even though the rhetoric refused to admit it had changed. It did not happen quickly. It shifted slowly strand by strand under the constant weight of consistency, accountability, and a public that is not as easily dazzled by theatrics anymore. Desi contrasts the loud rhetoric with the fading novelty. What once shocked now barely manages to surprise.
Donald Trump is doing regime change in Venezuela. I think what he wants is to get the credit of getting rid of Maduro. So in order to do regime change in Venezuela, he has concocted, with the help of Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth.
What once dominated now competes for attention with cat videos and fast-burning scandals that flare up and disappear. The spotlight no longer belongs to anyone automatically. It must be earned every day, and even then it flickers. Anna points out that the mythology relies on being the loudest voice in every room, but the rooms keep multiplying, and the audiences keep dividing. You cannot control a single story when the crowd has learned to split into 1,000 conversations at the same time. The exposure reaches its sharpest point when both of them return to the idea of accountability. Not the performative kind, not the social media apology tour kind, but the slow, stubborn, institutional kind that does not care about image. The kind that moves slowly and refuses to be impressed by spectacle.
This is the perfect time for President Trump to meet the moment with his famous deal-making skills and master negotiating to end this shutdown.
President Donald Trump currently on his way to Asia for a high-stakes tour of the region.
Okay. Government will be here when you get back, maybe.
Desi laughs about how no amount of blustering can drown out paper trails. No level of shouting can intimidate archival footage. The past continues to exist no matter how many times someone insists it is obsolete. It waits there patiently like a folder of receipts that never gets deleted. She connects that patience to the long memory of voters who may enjoy the jokes, but still live with the consequences every day. Exposure without impact is just entertainment. Exposure with context becomes something heavier that stays with people. What makes the takedown resonate is not cruelty. It is inevitability. The feeling that this unraveling was built into a persona powered by constant escalation. You can only raise the stakes so many times before the only direction left is downward. Desi leans into that truth with sharp timing, pointing out how each attempt to reclaim dominance now highlights the very weaknesses it tries to hide.
It's disrespectful, it is frankly disgusting, and it is outrageous. Many, many Catholics, people of faith who actually do believe in God and believe in the rituals of the church, not the people who wear crosses just for the sake of wearing crosses. People who actually believe in that are bereft over the death of Francis.
The louder the reaction, the clearer it becomes that something has struck a nerve. The more intense the denial, the more obvious the discomfort beneath it. Anna adds that power is often at its weakest when it must constantly announce its strength. Real leverage does not need to repeat itself every few minutes. The need to do so is usually the clearest sign that it is slipping. By the time the exposure reaches its final stages, the central figure feels less like a towering presence and more like overlapping projections slowly falling out of alignment. The image struggles to keep up with reality. The legend stumbles across the evidence. The performance begins to sag beneath the weight of its own exaggeration.
President, the ultimate castle for the prettiest princess. Leave it to Trump to pit castles against each other. I don't want to make it a competition, but if it is, I win. He was so excited for this trip, but the ride there got a little...
Desi treats that tension like a punchline that practically writes itself. The self-proclaimed king of disruption, now thrown off balance by fact checks and late-night comedians. The supposed master of chaos, now frustrated that chaos no longer follows a script. Anna frames it more softly, almost like a quiet warning about what happens when personality overshadows policy, when noise replaces substance, And when spectacle becomes so constant that it loses all shock value, the truth does not arrive in a single dramatic blow. It gathers, it settles, it stays long after the laughter fades. It becomes a realization that the emperor has insisted on his wardrobe for so long that many people stop looking until now. And when the audience steps back from a mess of narrative and noise, what remains is surprisingly ordinary, a political figure limited like everyone else, open to scrutiny and vulnerable to the erosion of time and record. Just like every reputation, regardless of how loud it once was, Desi leaves the audience with a taste of irony that lingers. Anna leaves it with the weight of responsibility, reminding them that democracy is not powered by catchphrases and accountability does not depend on applause. Together, without ever raising their voices, they create something more unsettling than any viral outburst. They make the spectacle feel temporary. They make the myth feel worn. They make the future of that brand look less like an unstoppable force and more like a long argument with gravity. And gravity always wins.